So I did something I usually don't do, and I watched the offensive tape against the Patriots D from the last week. But I'm just going to tell you now, I watched the defensive tape from the Commanders game 2 weeks ago because the Patriots offense is so bad it's unwatchable. Okay, but we're going to focus on the offense first. The big thing is Brian Daboll and that offensive staff, they're playing the same. Like they haven't made a ton of changes because you got to remember Danny Dimes uh, is not he's a very, very mobile athletic quarterback, first round draft pick. They paid him, I think they gave him a ton of money. He's not the most accurate passer. Like they didn't build an offense around him. They built or maybe they did build an offense around him, but it's not a drop back passing offense. So they're going to do a lot of stuff because they don't have a great line, because they don't have great pocket presence with their starting quarterback. They're going to move the pocket, a lot of play action, get the ball out of his hands, make the pre-snap reads as easy as possible. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of the stuff that you would watch if you had Danny Dimes, if you had Tyrod Taylor in there. It's going to be the same information with Tommy DeVito. So they're going to play this, largely going to play the same here. So we go motion across to a 2x2. They get the coverage that they want. And they're going to play this deep crosser all the way across the ball. They have the clear out on the top, deep crosser across the ball, big play offense, and try to take those shots when they can. They're going to do just the same thing as the Green Bay Packers. Young player, let's ID through motion. So they show that they show that they're not going to they're going to stay in its own coverage. They're in cover 2. Talking about the Patriots now. This is just a little wrinkle of football. So if I can take this back a little bit more. So you got a 2x2 look. And as you motion across, you see the safety comes back. And now you're in a 2-shell look, and it's probably cover 2. So you just take a peek out here. And if he can get outside, see, because he started at the top of the numbers, talking about the receiver at the bottom of the screen. If you start at the top of the numbers and you can get outside that corner and there's anything threatening that flat initially, which there is coming out of the backfield, well, all of a sudden, because that's a trail look on the corner, and he's really going to beat that safety from the near hash. And if Tommy DeVito's confident he can get that ball in there, there's just opportunities. We saw this last week with the Green Bay Packers. I think they threw this to Tucker Kraft. Romeo Doubs. But same idea, that cover 2, that window's open. You just have to have the arm. You have to have the arm arrogance to be able to throw it. So you go 2x2 again. They come across and ID this motion. Now they're in man, and we see that he has leverage on his defender. So what does that mean? That means the defender can't run at him. He has to take a high angle as he pushes upfield, pop it in the ground. Easy throw and catch for Tommy DeVito. They start making plays. You're going to see, I think I showed you the one huge play that they had as far as in the passing game in the first play. A lot of this is going to be dink and dunk. But DeVito can sling the football. He's not afraid of it. They run the orbit here. And now you look at, they've got up top, they've just got a replacement route on their twins look. So they run a go, and then for the clear out. And as soon as that corner turns his shoulders, he just puts this ball on a rope. So this is a 25-yard pass across the field on a rope in between coverage. Like, the kid can throw the ball. So this isn't one of those games where you sit, you play off, you read the eyes, and you're just going to sit back and take easy footballs out of the air. Kid's not afraid to throw this ball at all. He's got the arm talent to do it. The Giants do a really good job, like every other team. Like, I guess what I'm saying is you're going to see a lot of these themes from every football team. There's a lot of kind of basic offensive principles, right? It's just a question of execution. Listen, there's nothing new under the sun, right? As far as, when you talk about route combinations and whatnot, a lot of this stuff's already been thought out. It's who runs it the best. So you see I have the hipped off tight end circled. I have the corner circled on the bottom, and then you see the green arrow, and I think that's Jalen Hyatt coming across. And so they're just going to run the shallow cross here with a pick. But it's interesting the way that the Giants run the screen here, because they know that corner is going to want to go over the top. He just kind of drives down the middle on his linebacker here and forces this guy to go, get 8 yards of separation. They run the shallow, really shallow, put it on him. He hooks up, makes one guy miss and, gets a 15-yard gain. Now, I put this in there. I just remember, I think it was Rasul. This is a couple of weeks ago. Good thing we don't do this anymore. But we were down they were on the 10 and we were sitting on the goal line. And I think they ran a slant and just walked in and were like, well, I think everybody in the building was going, well, why is he so far off? Giants are still doing that. Or excuse me, the Patriots are still doing that. And so the Giants take advantage of this. He's 10 yards off on the 12-yard line. And I think they just run a little 5-yard stick here. Make one guy miss to the outside and walk into the end zone. And this is the kind of stuff where you don't want to give bad football teams who are averaging 13 points a game easy stuff. So as you're thinking about how you're going to game plan this team, they haven't really thrown a ton of like man coverage, just 9 routes. They've thrown a couple and they can hit them. I think I have one on here. But this is one of those situations where I think you're probably playing no more than 5 yards off, especially down here. I think part of this whole thing is I think Joe Barry has changed his philosophy at least a little bit. Now, this is what I'm talking about with Tommy DeVito and the relationship he has with some of these receivers. Little pressure in the pocket, steps up, and you see 15 yards downfield, the corner hasn't flipped his hips. Okay, this is really bad technique by the corner. The corner is actually going to turn the opposite way and run with his chest facing the numbers here. But he's beat, and Tommy's got the kind of the anticipation to let this thing go. All right. So the corner's playing 12 yards off, didn't maintain his cushion, didn't turn his hips in time. The quarterback has a confidence. Your third string quarterback, it's like, what do you got to lose, right? So he's got some young talent. He's taking advantage of it. They're giving him opportunities. Now, when I talk about the defensive line and the other side of this and giving up 6 sacks last week to the Patriots, I don't know how many they gave up versus the Commanders. But there should be a line in front of the tackle. It's in front of the right tackle. So the left defensive end, left outside linebacker, there should be a line in front of that guy. Not because he's a bad player, but because Andrew Thomas is better. So you go to the weakest link. And because this kid he's just not good with pocket presence. He's just not a good player with pocket presence. You just sacks. Experience in the pocket. There's guys wide open on this. He doesn't, but sometimes when you're the third string guy, you're waiting for it to play out, right? You don't trust your eyes yet. And so you see this right now. You see the left tackle's giving up the edge. It's like, throw the check down, man. It's right there. Just throw the check down. Or flip your eyes to the other side of the field. You got somebody wide open on the hash. They're always kind of looking for the bigger play. Maybe he's got to see things open from time to time, and maybe that's a combination. Maybe he's got great anticipation with a clean pocket, or when he rises up the pocket, he's just automatically looking downfield, so he makes some of those great throws. But when you watch this guy over and over and over again from a what's the word I'm looking for? If you watch the game from start to finish, then you see the lack of experience and lack of pocket presence start to kind of rise up over the course of the game. Because right here this is a clean pocket, but you got to throw the ball. And even right now, the question is, do you exit, or you can see Saquon's wide open. And so sometimes you got to make this good on your offensive line. He decides to exit high. Andrew Thomas ends up, I shouldn't say he doesn't get beat for the sack at all. He does a fine job, but the defensive end runs over the top and you're in trouble. You got quads look on the bottom. I think you're going to go motion across. Are they staying? Yeah, they go motion across. So they end up in a bunch. Again, check downs available. He's waiting on both outside routes to see what that safety's trying to hold that safety, and all of a sudden pocket collapses, not confident. Again, it's not that they're getting enough. It's not that they're getting beat right off the line of scrimmage. Another way to say you got beat late is the quarterback held the ball too long. It just depends on your perspective. If you're into the New York Giants football team, it doesn't have a great offensive line, and you're on your third string quarterback. Of course, everyone's going, yeah, I got to strain more. Well, it's like, okay, but we also have to get rid of the ball. Like, don't give up. If you give up 3 sacks in a game and the quarterback throws for 300 yards, you go, okay, that's fine. If you give up 6 sacks in the game and the quarterback throws for 100 and it looks like 162 yards, well, that's a problem. They've got this rookie playing second-round draft pick. His name is John Smith Jr. And a lot of what they do is predicated on his ability to single block the nose tackle on inside zone in the running game. And they do well. And when he gets beat, the ball gets tackled at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. And he's a pretty good player, and I really like his footwork. He's playing against Devon Gottschall right here. But this is a great matchup between TJ Slaton and John Smith Jr. He does a great job of getting vertical displacement, finishing through the whistle, and Saquon gets out the door. Now, they're going to play a lot of 6-man. They'll bring in number 64, and they'll play 6-man. They'll play him off the line of scrimmage. They'll play him attached as an attached tight end. And it's not like they had a ton of success because now you can watch 64, but you can also watch the center. And the center loses now, gets pushed in the backfield. Gottschall comes off and makes the play. The key to this running game was really that center's ability to defeat the nose tackle. A lot of the other guys it's kind of a stalemate offensive line. In some aspects, it's similar to the Green Bay Packers. You're not seeing a ton of movement in the run game, I'm talking. And it's going to come down to who's got the critical block. Can they win in that critical block, or can they not lose at that critical block and then allow that running back to get downhill? Here we go, another with a 6-man O-line. They got the double. They down block here on the nose tackle, so they back block with the center, pull around the guard, and still just right guard has a hard time with the nose tackle comes across. And there's a lot of those plays where Saquon Barkley's in the backfield getting hit, having to redirect, etc. But Saquon Barkley is still an explosive player. Again, he doesn't have the numbers, but that's really just because they don't have the horses up front, and they just have a really stagnant offense. You can load the box against, listen, you're a third string guy. There's some things that happen. But if you want to play, the point I showed this one in particular is if you want to sit here, tight end attached, you got a corner out here on the side, but you're going to play a light front. This is Saquon Barkley. He can make one guy miss, right? They don't even block the backside linebacker. He can make one guy miss. He's not a cutback player necessarily. He's a downhill, find the lane and get vertical player, and he's explosive. And last year, everybody remembers, he really took it to the Green Bay Packers. I think this is the game they lost over in London. So they're not very good from an offensive standpoint. You look at the 13.3 yards per game, and you look at the way the Green Bay Packers defense has been playing, coming off a number of good games against, if not this year, elite offenses, the Kansas City Chiefs, historically elite offenses. The Lions are an elite offense. The Chiefs have been elite. They have Patrick Mahomes. So they've been playing at such a high level. What you don't want to have is this kind of letdown, looking at this like cakewalk, right? I think the kid can throw it. They're going to give him the chance. They're not going to – this isn't going to be a run, screen, punt game. Like, they're going to let the ball rip. They're going to move the pocket. They're going to do everything that you need to do in order to be successful against this defensive line. They're going to try to have an answer for Rashawn Gary over there versus that right tackle, whoever it is. If Evan Neal comes back, and listen, maybe he'll be good. But if he comes back, they're going to have to change their offense. I think him being in, even though he's the starter, is net worse for them than having this Phillips kid in 79. I think 79 is doing a better job. That's me personally. But either way, I think there's going to be a line over there. Preston's going to be, hey, let's switch, right? And Ibarra's going to be like, hey, can I go in at left defensive end? I'm ready, right? Van Ness probably still staying over on Andrew Thomas with the two-hand bull rush. But everybody else is probably going to migrate over to the left side and try to get some reps because Andrew Thomas it's like Andrew Thomas is beatable as well. But it's like, why would you mess with Andrew Thomas if I've got a backup right tackle playing and a quarterback who's not comfortable in the pocket? That's the way I think about things.